Thank you for that. So we had some technical issues here, so I'm going to do my presentation on this PC. I'm a Mac person, but for some reason it didn't show up there. So so I have my notes here, so if I need them, I'm just going to have to do some double clicking. Right. So thank you for coming, guys. Obviously, a lot of people are out Christmas shopping now. And as you can see, I was supposed to do 10 paints of creativity. And when I was preparing for these 10 paints, I realized, holy crap-a-ronis, there's a lot of things to say about these paints. So I had to boil it down to 9. And then I realized that that's way too long, so I have to boil it down to 7 or 8 first and then 7. So that's 7 paints of creativity I'm going to try to bring you through today. My name is Kjell. Kjell-Vidar Teig, that's Norwegian, Swedish mix. I'm creative director, art director, author, musician, and then also in Norwegian then. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn if you like. Very quick about me, my experience. Creative director, art director in Inneco.com and Julieta.eco, which is a company, our new brand starting in January. I'm also a teacher in digital marketing in Høgskolen Kristiania. That's like web teachings, and it's similar to Bergs, I guess, here in Sweden, Hyper Island Bergs sort of school. 20 years in the creative business, working with like brand and concept development, digital strategies, service design, and also a lot of art direction. So the visual part is something that I really enjoy working with. I'm just going to see if there's someone behind the pole there so I can see everyone. There's no one there. No? Perfect. Author. So I'm going to be, in a few years you have heard about me. Then you know, oh, that's the guy who said that he was going to be the new Norwegian Stephen King, right? So this is me. I've written 2 books, one short story book and one novel. I'm translating this one up there, Battle Against Demons. It's coming in February 2024. And I'm also writing a non-fiction book these days about communication, creativity and strategy that you need to know. I mean, before you start speaking, you need to know what you're going to talk about. So and how to use strategic techniques to actually make the communication go from information to communication. That's musician. I'm also a famous rock star. You probably never heard of me because I have about 32 or 33 monthly listeners on Spotify. Yes, yeah, that's you guys. Yeah, thank you. I earned about $20 2023, so I'm not quitting my day job just yet. And I'm also doing some design stuff, like music and movie inspired. So do you guys know that car, where that come from? It's a DeLorean, right? It's Back to the Future. Awesome. I'm gonna grab my phone because I was planning to have a timer on that one. So I want you, the icebreaker now today is that I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about this question. What advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time and meet yourself when you were 18? If you are like 20 or so, try to go 10 years back in time. And I want you to consider that question for 1 minute. And after 1 minute, I'd like you to turn to the person beside you and tell that person what advice you would give yourself. If it's too personal, then just tell that person about what were you thinking, how did your mind go. So I'm going to give you 1 minute starting now to think about this question. Grab your phone or anything if you need to make some notes. All right. Perfect, guys. Thank you. Awesome. So that time flew by very quick, and I know that's a question you could discuss for a long time. So take it home with you and keep thinking about it, and maybe ask your family or friends as well. So the theme for this session was pain, and we all know that there is no worse pain than actually stepping on Legos. That's like the worst thing that you ever could do. And then connect pain. That's actually a piece of creativity that I got the theme pain, and I put creativity, and I merged these two and see what will you get. And the Legos are really essential for the creative process, and that's obviously what I'm going to talk about today, because we're going to identify some pains, and we are going to kick their butt. At least look at how we do it. For my part, the creative journey, it started in darkness. Okay, so let's just stay there then. Yeah, so it started out back in 2003 or so when I was working in Oslo, and I'm going to make a communication concept for one of the schools in Norway. In Norway you had one school like Westerdals, it was like Berg or Hyper Island, and it kind of owned the whole creative industry in Oslo. That was the school you had to go to if you were going to work in the creative industry in Oslo. And I was working for another school, and we were trying to find a position on the market to be able to get into that market. And we saw that were two kind of people out there, and there were the super duper ultra creatives. That's one overconfident creative people that were just flashing into that school and never going out, and they were the guys with the round glasses and the scarves and all in the advertising industry and all of that, you know. And then on the other side there was a much larger group where you had those people that thought that, well, you know, I'm not really one of the creatives, you know, it's not really my thing, it's something that happened to the other guys. Or it was like, well, I think perhaps maybe I'm a little bit creative. I'm not sure really, but and these guys, they didn't go to that school. So we made a concept that was called creativity can be learned, and actually today the school that we worked for has bought the other school now. So obviously it was a huge success. Well, it did really well, that concept, and creativity can be learned. That then I started to read and learn a lot about creativity. So, can you see that? So there is this guy there. He's looking out into the nature and thinking, this creativity. Wow, it's out there somewhere. And he's one of those, you know, searching for that magic thing called creativity. It's like the Greeks, they used to call it the muse. It was something that just happened. And when you go around and thinking that, well, I'm not really one of those creative people, then you should know that creativity is actually not magic. It's a way of thinking. Cool. Right. So let's go. Yeah. So the cure to all of this thing that creativity is some sort of magic is that to actually learn something about what creativity really is. And first of all, I mentioned the Legos, and there's a definition here on an idea that says that an idea is the result of one or more thoughts meeting each other in your head, where they create a new thought. That's an idea. And this idea or a thought is then used to create new thoughts and ideas. And so you don't create ideas from nothing. I mean, you have to have something to build your ideas upon, put things together and create new stuff. So that is an idea. And an example of that, now is pretty hard to see for you guys, but there is a classic creative technique where you take a paper. Let's say we're going to make an ad for a very hot tomato ketchup. So what could you do? You could take a paper, you could draw a line in the middle of the paper, and you could write hot on the one side, and you could put in every word you think of when you think of hot, like matchsticks, bonfires, like barbecue, matchsticks over there, but everything hot, like sun and all of that stuff. On the other side of the paper, you think ketchup, and you put in all the words you can think of when you hear the word ketchup, and it's like, well, it's fries, it's McDonald's, it's spaghetti, it's all of that stuff. And you make those two lists, and then you start drawing lines between these words and see what happens if you merge these two words into something new. So let's say you took matches and you took these fries and you merged them into an ad that could wind up something like that. I mean, that's pretty good ad for, it tells you something about how hot this ketchup is, and when you dip the fries in it, it actually burns the end of the fries. And another example, it's pretty hard for you guys to see here, but we did the same thing when we were launching Hard Rock Cafe in Oslo, that's many years ago. Then we did the exact same exercise. We took Oslo and we put in all the words we could think about when it comes to Oslo. And one of the things where this statue over here is like this Sinnataggen, you might have seen him. It's a really, really angry boy. And then on the other side of the list, we drew a line between him and Rage Against the Machine. And then we merged these two, and then we got this ad concept for Hard Rock Cafe with Sinnataggen screaming, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." So you merged what happens when Rage Against the Machine goes berserk in Oslo. So then we take two things and we merge them together into something new. And then you need to know, like Thomas Edison said, that genius is 1%, and perspiration is 99%. And it goes for creativity as well, because 1% idea and 99% hard freaking work. And we all know that guy who's going like, well, I thought of that. Well, I have this idea, you know, it would be really cool to do that and that and that. And nothing happens. It's because it doesn't have the 99% of creativity. Because you need to have the grit and the stamina. And then there is a third component. So creativity is three things actually. It's one, it's expertise. That's the Legos. That's everything you know. So let's say all you read, all you see, and all you hear is Star Wars. That's the only thing you ever care about. Then all your ideas will be Star Wars, because the only thing you can do is to take different Star Wars pieces and put them together. So it's about being open and learning new stuff and taking in, reading a book you thought you wouldn't like, or, you know, they say take another walk to the work or whatever. Just learn new stuff. Because you need to fill up your expertise. Then it's motivation. That's the 99%. That's the true grit. That's the passion. I really want to do this. You really need that to be creative. Because otherwise you will be just someone who had a lot of ideas, but you're not really creative. And then you need creative thinking skills, like the one with the paper. You need to know how to use these two elements to create something new. So that's cool. Then we kind of learn that it's not magic. It's a way of thinking and a way of working. And then it's like, oh, I'm not really that creative. I'm not creative enough. And here you have like Steve Jobs and you have Don Draper from Mad Men, and they're like super creative guys and all that. And this guy here, you never heard of him. He's a Norwegian. He's very famous in Norway. He's a poet, singer, songwriter, author, all of that stuff. And I know that guy, and I was playing at a festival. I was going to play after him. And while I stood in the audience and I watched him play, I got so freaking nervous. I mean, my knees were starting to shake, and I was like, oh, holy crap. Because he was so good. I mean, the way he read, the way he talked, the way he played, is like, shit, man, I can never do it. So I got up on stage after him, and I stood there with my guitar, and like, I felt like a deer in the middle of the road, you know, when the truck is coming, it's like, and I was like, I cannot survive this gig. I will never survive. I did survive, but I thought, what happened? Why did I get so nervous? Because I was actually very well prepared. And the thing is there that I was living other people's lives. And there's a saying that you cannot live other people's lives. So what I was doing is that I was living my life through him. I was comparing myself to him and thinking, holy crap, I will never be as good as him. When in fact, I can never be as good as him. I can never be him at all. I can only be myself. It's a cliche, yes, but you cannot ever be anyone else. The only thing you can do is to be yourself and use your own creativity. No matter how much I tried, I will always fail if I try to be someone else. And the only thing you should compare yourself with is yourself. So if I stood in the audience there and I was thinking, okay, Kjell, 3 months ago, where were you? Well, I wasn't really prepared for this gig, but then I started and I played 3 times a week, and I'm pretty good prepared. Yeah, okay, so have you, because then you will get a positive flow. So what about the songs you're going to play? Well, I practice them and I know them and all of that stuff. So you will get a positive spin on the comparison if you compare yourself with yourself. I'm going to talk really fast now. Okay, and pain number 3, that's the fuck off face. I'm not supposed to swear like that, I guess, but it is a really, really bad face. It's like when shit like this happens. That's the place where creativity goes to die. That's, you know, when you're sitting there and you're working and it's like, oh shit, I will never be able to find a solution for this problem. It's not possible. I have a writer's block. It's a blank canvas or whatever. It's just my head is, I can't get anything. And then you give up. And then if you give up, you don't have the 99% that is needed to be creative. And as Jerry Seinfeld says, that's a load of bullshit. Writer's block is bullshit. It's a sorry-ass excuse for giving up. And that's pretty harsh, I know, but it's the fact. Because the cure to those blocks is to make something really, really bad. Because that's much better than giving up. And a technique here is something called brain writing or free writing. I'm not making this stuff up, by the way. It's scientifically proven, all of that. But a technique in that, I have this problem I'm going to have to solve. What do I do? Because I can't come up with anything. You're going to do a session for 50 minutes and you're going to write 10 really bad ideas as a solution to the problem. Really, really bad idea. It could be anything. It could be to write this article, I would get a spaceship and I will send it to the moon and hope that some alien up there or something writes it and send it back to me or something. It's just really, really bad ideas. And then you take a break, you go back and you write another 10, 15 really, really bad ideas. So you have 20, 30, 40 bad ideas. Then you take another break, like a day or so, and then you go back into the really, really bad ideas and you look at them and you take every single idea and see what happens if I turn it around. What if I take this really bad idea and I turn it into something positive? So this alien coming up there, writing my article probably will not happen, but I could actually send it to a colleague or something to actually write this article for me, or a ghostwriter or whatever problem you're working on. And then you take all of these ideas and you boil them down into 3, 4, 5 ideas that actually says, well, there might be something here. And then you take another break and you go back for the 4th time and you spend another 15 minutes, half an hour or so, and you work with those 3, 4 ideas. And I guarantee you that every single time you do that sort of session, you will come out with a solution to your problem. And if you don't, go back, create more bad ideas, and the solution will come. Because that proves that you have the grit and you have the guts to actually do the 99%. Then, we are all the creative people, there are so much we should have done, there's a lot of people is out shopping now and buying food and all of that stuff, and there is so much you should do. And then we get stressed out and we turn out to like this hamster here with burry hair and all of that. So the cure to that is think could, not should. Because if you go around thinking all the things that you should do, there is so much piling up that it kind of locks up in your head and you can't get anything done because there is so much I should have done. But if you're thinking I could do, that opens up, because you cannot think I could do that without thinking anything more. Because then you have to think I could do that, but I am not doing it because I am doing something else. So, okay, what could I do to actually make this thing done that I really want to do? And you have start an open dialogue in your head on how to solve that issue. Think could, not should. All right, pain number 5. When something goes really wrong, you blame yourself. This is something that's called attribution theory. It's that you might say that, okay, when project go wrong or something, you might say that, well, it was his fault and his fault. But inside you're saying, oh, you're so fucking stupid. Why did you do that? Why did you do all that? And you blame yourself. And if there's some blame left, you might say that, well, she wasn't actually helping out either with the projector and all. It was like really, really bad and all that. And then you say, well, the computer crashed. I mean, the cable didn't work and all that stuff. But you start with yourself and you blame yourself. And that's not going to help anyone. And the funny thing is that when something goes really good, then you turn it around and you blame the others. Yeah, so I could just finish up this pain number 5 while you're fixing it. Because the funny thing is that when something goes good, then it's like, well, the computer, it worked perfectly and it was so fast and smooth. And, the new remote that I had was like perfect and all that. And then you say, well, Anastasia, she helped me really well. She was perfect. She fixed everything and all that. And if there is something left, then she might say that, hey, Michelle, you fixed it pretty well as well. And it's like, nah, well, it's all you guys. You fixed it and the audience were patient and it's perfect, right? So the cure to that is to actually simply be aware of this thing called attribution theory, so that when you start blaming yourself, whoa! Perfect.
No, I don't blame myself.
No, so don't blame yourself. Because shit happens in creativity, Because you have to be aware, if you're aware of that this is a thing that's actually happening, stop blaming yourself. Because in creativity, you're always balancing on the edge and you're finding new stuff and things goes wrong all the time. At work, we say fail fast. And by that we mean try something and fail and move on to the next project. And if it doesn't work, move on to the next project, because we know that in creativity things doesn't always go well. And when things go well and someone says, hey, Kjell, that was pretty good job there, say thank you. I appreciate it. Instead of pushing the compliment away. And then there is also this thing about, stress. Oh, I don't really have time for this creativity thing, and I'm never aspired. Then because you're going around waiting for creativity to fall down from the sky, and it never does. John Cleese says that you need 5 things to be creative. First of all, you need a place. I mean, you can still write on a train or on the boat or wherever you are. You can think all the time, but you need a creative base. You need it's like Pavlov's dogs, when they ring the bell and the dogs start to salivate because they know they will get food, but even though the food is not there, this room or this place your writer cottage or whatever, will be your creative bell. Because at first it won't, but when you go there all the time, when you're working creatively, your mind will automatically open up when you get into that space because it knows we're going to be creative now. It's just something that your brain learns. And then you need to set a time. Yes, you can plan for creativity. You don't have to wait, until it comes. And you can say, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I am going to work creatively on my problem. You can set that time, you can plan for that, absolutely. It might be hard at first, but keep doing it and you will learn how to get in the creative mode on program. And you need to set enough time. You cannot set 5 minutes and expect something to happen. You need to set, depending on the project you're working on, it could be 5 hours, it could be 1 hour, it could be a year, depending on the size of the project, but you need to set enough time. And then you need to have humor. And that is quite funny because you think that when people do like funny creative exercises in creative workshops, it's because it's supposed to be funny. Well, that is actually not the real thing. That's not why it's done. It's because when people are working on serious problems, like, oh, we're going to have to be really serious now because we have to solve this thing. What happens is that you're thinking creatively in verticals. You're thinking from the top and you're thinking straight down to the problem. And that's very, very hard because your mind is in a closed mode. It's like, holy shit, we're going to have to solve the problem. Instead, if you have humor, if you do you could, whatever, you can watch some funny videos, you can have some funny stories, or you could do some funny exercises or some drawing exercises where you draw something totally irrelevant to the problem because it opens up the mind and it causes you to think in horizontal lines and you find dots along that horizontal line and draw new ideas down to the problem. So the funny thing is that when it's a serious problem, everyone has to really shut down and we have to be really serious now. And they don't even know that it really causes them to make it much more harder to find a solution. So it's not to be funny, it's to actually open up your mind and get more ideas. And then you need confidence. I mean, if I'm standing here and talking and all you guys are doing is yawning and watching your clock and hope, isn't he done yet or something like that? That will like crush my creativity right away. And if someone in that creative space you created is something like, well, we don't have budget for this, we can't do that. That's typical when you're doing a meeting with your boss or whatever. That kills creativity. So we have something called postponing judgment. That's something you could open every meeting with. That in this meeting, if it's a creative meeting, postpone judgment. Yes, you're allowed to have opinions and say that this will not work. That's all fine. But in this phase of the project, you write it down and you keep your mouth shut and you use your energy to find many, many ideas, because that is crucial to creativity. Okay, so the final pain, I might have gone over time now a little bit, but I will blame the TV and all that. So I will blame you guys and I will not blame myself. At least not first anyways. So shit really happens. I mean, it really does, because in creativity and in the world and in life, there is always something happening. And we can't control that. I mean, I've been in many startups. I've gone bankrupt a few times, and that really sucks. Yeah, so the startup things. And I also have colleagues, like the relationships that crashed on the way due to disputes and all of that stuff, and the people that you don't talk to. It could really bring you down quite a lot, all of this stuff. And sometimes things go really, really bad. I mean, people disappear, people die sometimes, and we all experience that. This guy here is my little brother. He died of cancer in 2003. That's like 21 years ago now, I think. When I was at the hospital, Radium Hospitality in Oslo, they had this cup there. It wasn't the Starbucks cup, but it was a cup by the coffee machine. It said, if you take a cup of coffee, please put 5 kroner into this cup. It regards the staff, so that they could go to a movie or something like that. And I was thinking, like, what is going on here? I mean, these people are saving people's lives. They're like the heroes of the world, and trying to save people's life. And they shouldn't have to ask anyone to do anything. I mean, like 5 kroner or whatever to go to a dinner or so. And it took a long time, but after a while, I started thinking, what could we do about this cup, then at least something. And then I was thinking, starting to look around. It's quite a simple idea. What if we took Live Aid, Bob Geldof saving the world from famine and all of that? What if we did something similar? So 10 years after our first festival, we had played in and put 1 million Norwegian kroners into that cup at Radiumhospitalet. Just by putting a few pieces together and doing something good about something really, really bad. This is a picture of my brother there up on the stage at the festival. So I think that's one of the good things you could do with creativity, and being Christmas and all. Now I guess it's your turn to go out there and be creative. It says make something nice here, but you should make something really, really bad as well. Not something bad for anyone else, but bad ideas are always welcome. And finally, what would I say to myself? That would be, just do it. Don't wait until you're 40 by writing your books or making music or whatever. Do not give a shit about what other people think. Just do your thing and get over with it. That's it. Thank you.